ልጅ እናት ታጠቂ በገመድ የወንድ ልጅ እናት ታጠቂ በገመድ ልሽና ሞራ እንጂ አይቀብረውም ዘመድ አይቀብረውም ዘመድ።
ከዛሬ 82 ዓመታት በፊት የካቲት 12 1900
On 19 February 1937, Italian forces and Italian civilians began a 3-day campaign of killing in Addis Ababa, which left thousands of Ethiopians dead. At the end of the 3 days, 30,000 Ethiopians were massacred in the capital of the country, in Addis Ababa. Now, following that, every year, on 19th February, Ethiopians mark the Martyrs' Day, on which more than 30,000 Ethiopians were massacred by the troops of fascist Italy, which is now 81 years ago, following the attempted assassination on Marshal Rodolfo Graziani, their general. That's why February is also marked a month of martyrdom. The Italians conducted the most atrocious massacre that could have been considered a genocide of the highest proportions. Now, Italy, when trying to invade Ethiopia, this was a second time. Why this is here? I'm trying to move this one out of here, but yeah, I couldn't do it. Anyway, yeah, so after the victory of Adwa in 1896, so for the second time, Italy invaded Ethiopia on May 1936. It's as a result of that, Emperor Haile Selassie exiled to England and he came back 1941. So that was actually the victory for the second time where Ethiopians defeated Italy. So for 5 years, although the Italians were in Ethiopia, but the people were fighting the Italians like a guerrilla war. But finally they managed, to defeat the Italians. Now to tell you more, this was of course led by again Mussolini. As I said, it was on May 5, 1936. That was the second invasion of Italy. At that time, their leader was again Mussolini, led by Badoglio, marched into Addis Ababa. So that the day was really a day of chaos and terror inside Addis Ababa, but the people tried this general Rodolfo Graziani to assassinate him, to kill him. So for that attempt, actually, the Italians who were in Ethiopia, their militaries massacred 30,000 Ethiopians in 3 days alone. Now, let me just, tell you more about it. Now, Italy deployed actually 685,000 soldiers, and at that time, Italy had 6,000 machine guns, 2,000 artillery, and 599 tanks, as well as 390 aircrafts. Italy later ordered and acquired 3,300 machine guns, again 275 artillery pieces, again more 200 tanks and 205 aircrafts. Now, this by no means was no match to the Ethiopian army, which was comprised of about between 350,000 to 760,000 trained and both trained and untrained peasant soldiers with ammunition of about 400,000, mainly old rifles, and 234 antiquated artillery and 75 anti-tank guns, 4 tanks, and 13 outmoded aircrafts with 4 pilots. So this is, by no means it was a comparison. Well, again, this is the same thing like the victory of Adwa. It was it was not at all to be compared with the Italian military that came to, to fight Ethiopia. But again, the Ethiopians has defeated with God's help. But as always, I always quote this Emperor Haile Selassie said, in his speech in 1936 or 1937 in the United Nations, when he pleaded, although he was in exile, Ethiopia was a sovereign country, so it was also a member of the United Nations. So he went and he made a speech, but nobody was happy. Nobody has really listened to him. But he said at the end, today it's us, but tomorrow it will be you. But we know that we have the truth. So good over evil. That's actually how also Bob Marley has, written his lyrics. It's it's the speech of Emperor Haile Selassie. So that's how he closed his speech. And it's not because we had more ammunition, more tanks, or more trained military that we defeated Italy. It's simply because we trusted in our forefathers were, committed to die for their land and simply good over evil. That was it. Okay. Again, I just wanted to give, I did it, although it was yesterday, I have to be here online to commemorate the day. But, every leap year, instead of 19 February, it becomes 20 February. So it was yesterday. But again, for the 3 days, I think we have to commemorate it, or our soldiers, and tell our children, our siblings, anyone in this generation who really, seem to be forgetting what is paid for our freedom. So we really have to teach our history, how we are standing today, because history is, as Marcus Garvey said, a person, without history is like a tree without its roots. So it's really important, and that will also liberate us. It will help a lot because education is really important, and we know that in today's curriculum, what kind of education our children are given. So we have to be able to, those who say that we are kind of awakened, we know that we know about African history, then we really, if we are just keeping for ourselves, then we're not doing anything. So we really have to teach, by buying children books. It could be just by reading it to them, or by commemorating the day and telling them, instead of, just unknown Jennifer and David or whatever story they have been given, but to tell them the African history on each day. I'm sure there is something, and to dedicate or each week for something for Africa, amazing African histories. And to tell them about each countries, all the 55 countries of the continent. It's really important. That will liberate us. That alone will create a lot of Pan-Africans. And then in few years time, or in few decades, you don't need to come and teach about Pan-Africanism here. Our children, all that generation after 2-3 decades, will be awakened and knows his history and her history, and they will automatically try to pass it to their children as well. Or then by then perhaps we will have a decolonized education, and we can incorporate it in our curriculum and give such education in our schools, so that we don't have to teach it at home. But for now, we are not at that level, so we really have to do that. But this day, I really want to dedicate to to our ancestors, to our forefathers, who paid with their blood and sweat, with their bones. I literally feel that I am walking on their bones and blood, the sacrifice that they have made, they have paid. What are we doing today? We are willingly being colonized, and that is really, really a shame. So yeah, anyways, fam, I really prayers and grateful for our fathers who have, and also our mothers who have paid, because the women also part of this important history. Also in Adwa victory, women, for example, Empress Titu, the wife of Emperor Menelik, has played a great role to defeat the Italians without even firing a single bullet, by circling the river that they used to use, or a lake they used to use to drink water. She made to encircle that. She brought that idea that eventually, because they were so thirsty and they started to give their hand, to be captured just like that. So the women were part of this, whether it's by supplying food or who really went with the men to fight. So the women are also as really has played an important role. Now, speaking of February, at the end of this month, or 1st March, again, every leap year, it will be 2nd of March. It will be, we will commemorate the 128th of the Adwa victory. It's not, Independence Day that Ethiopia is celebrating. It's a victory day where we defeated the Italians, but it's not limited to Ethiopia. That's also to Africa. That's globally celebrated by all Africans, by all, let me say, Black people globally, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in the Latin America, in the West, globally. That is a victory for all Black people. We will have a special program on that day, but for now, I just wanted to give, this commemoration, to say something about the massacre of the Yekatit Asraulat. Yekatit 12, it means Yekatit 12. Yekatit is the 6th month of month in Ethiopian calendar, because Ethiopian calendar starts with September. So Yekatit is the 6th month. So we have September. I mean, if I count it, then it will be Meskerem, Tekemt, Hidar, Tahasas, Tir, and then Yekatit. So this is a day where we commemorate, and for that we have actually a monument in the capital of Addis Ababa. This is, Yekatit Asraulet monument. It's known as, here you see all, the farmers, the soldiers, everyone around here, have their figure here, how do you say it, on the monument. And here you see the Lion of Judah. It's in the center where you meet, it's around also Arat Kilo. We have 4 kilo, 5 kilo, and 6 kilo. It's a place where also around there is a palace at that time was located. It's kind of a center of the capital city. I'm glad that we have, whoever that decided this, to erect this monument for our forefathers and mothers. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let us know in the comment section, those of you, if you were aware or not. I'm sure there are Ethiopians who don't know about this, especially this generation. But those of you who are from, other African countries, or from outside of Ethiopia, let us know, what do you think of this, or if you know about it, and what do you think? And about you can also leave a comment about the upcoming Adwa victory. That was it for now, and I will see you on the next one. For now, it's a ciao ciao from me.